Hey, good morning, everyone. My name's Adam Jason. I'm the founder of BRRRRs.com, where my mission and the goal of BRRRRs.com is to help make it easier for you to invest in real estate through the BRRRR strategy than it ever has been before through our suite of analysis tools, contracting solutions that are prepared by professional attorneys just like me. In addition, I like to make these videos just to talk with you about real estate, different tips, tricks, things I'm seeing in the market, all those kind of things. Making this video today for you from my home in Medellin, Colombia. Exciting place for real estate right now. Appreciation is through the roof as more and more people find attraction in investing overseas and looking at different properties. So if you're considering a vacation and you love real estate, definitely a place to come and enjoy and check out. Today our topic is going to be 5 ways to maximize cash flow from your next BRRRR. Of course, when we talk about cash flow, the first thing that we're talking about is rental income and how does that exceed our expenses. There's also a lot of other different ways that you can generate cash flow within that rental arrangement that you're going to have with your tenant, one of the R's of our BRRRR strategy. So let's get into the top 5, but really want to start with kind of obviously the premise that whenever we're doing the analysis of what cash flow is going to look like for a property and finding other ways to get a better ROI, we're always going to be talking about increasing income or decreasing expenses. So our list today is going to focus on, those two fundamentals of either bringing one up, bringing one down, and finding where there's some hidden money there that can improve our ROI and the money that we're bringing in every month. So first one, tenant pays the utilities. This is going to be something that you're going to include in your lease agreement, agreed to between the parties, where the tenant is going to be paying most, if not all, of the utilities for the property. So what are your usual utilities when you're renting? You're going to have your gas, electric, water, sewer. Depending on where you live in the country, you probably have some kind of lawn maintenance if it's a single family home. If it's in the colder areas, you're going to have snow removal, all those kind of things. My own portfolio, the split I use is basically a tenant pays for everything except for water and sewer. So in a total utility bill for a month of probably say close to $200 when you add in snow removal for the properties where I am, and then also all the utilities, I pay about $33 to help cover the water and sewer. So a really minute part of the $200 outlay every month, the tenant's covering that. If that was not included in your lease, then obviously that's another $165 or so based on the properties I'm doing that you'd be taking out of pocket. So again, it's kind of that raise your income or lower expenses and find more income. In this case, obviously, we're talking about lowering your expenses by putting that burden on the tenant. I think this works well if you have a good property, something that's attractive, where people are used to paying their own utilities. So it's not a off-market ask to have the people who are moving in and your tenants pay for those things, and it saves you a lot of money. If we're talking about $15 or $150, $165 over the course of the year, over the course of a couple of properties, it could mean some real cash flow back to you and a real boost to your ROI. The next one is late penalties and actually enforcing those late penalties. Sometimes I say this and people think, you're just trying to, extract money from people because they're late, whatever. But what I would talk about here is, if people have to pay by the 5th of the month or the 1st of the month, including a small penalty for paying late. And the reason to do this is more than just to generate additional cash flow to you, which will come to that if they're not paying and they have to pay those late fees, but also, to set a standard and expectation with your tenant that you do expect to be paid on time, that it's a business for you and it's not just you providing them out of the good of your heart a place to live and housing. And, in a lot of jurisdictions, especially those that are, super legislatively intense when it comes to landlord tenant laws, if you're not charging those late fees for some people, but you are for others, you can get into fair housing law issues. So it's best to be consistent across the board, hold people to the agreements that they've signed. If it's really not something that can be worked out, work with them. But those late fees and penalties for non-compliance are definitely something you should be looking at, and in fact may have to look at from the legal side of things to be in compliance with your obligations as a landlord under the property. And it's a way to bring some additional cash into your pocket for the non-compliance. The next one I see people talk about a lot is whether or not to allow pets. I think this one can be done in a pretty easy and responsible manner where the benefits of allowing pets certainly outweighs the negatives that a lot of people assume come with that. And a lot of people think they're going to have pets and they're going to destroy the walls and cause all kinds of damage. And if you're limiting the size to a reasonable size animal, whether it be a dog or a cat, those kind of things, the damage that they're going to cause, whether it's to the floor, whatever it may be, are going to be so much more easy to repair and easy to deal with than it is to the kind of the world we live in now, where it's so popular to have pets, to exclude such a potentially large segment of potential tenants for you. If you're saying no pets, you're automatically saying that this whole group of tenants isn't going to be eligible to live into your property. When you're investing in real estate, when you're doing the BRRRR strategy, having great tenants is the key to a successful investment. And you really want to make sure you're getting the best person, regardless of whether they have a dog or a small pet or whatever. It'll pay off in the long run. And of course, whenever you're doing this, you can charge a little extra as a security deposit to cover animal damages and require that they fix repairs directly related to animals at the end of the lease. But to exclude it directly, I think you're hurting yourself. You're hurting the large pool of talent or of tenants you could get, potentially competitive bidding for your property if it's a place that a lot of people want to live. And in that case, hurting potential cash flow that could be coming to you if you get that great tenant and there's been a bidding process to get the price of the unit to go up. So think about it intelligently, think about what the math really is going to look like there, and don't be scared away by stories you hear if you can keep it under control. The next one I think is something that you need to deal with up front with your property manager if you're using property manager for your projects. And at BRRRRinvest.com, we have the same property management agreement that I use for all of my properties and that I sign with all of my different property managers. Also, as an attorney myself, it's the same one that all my clients use when I help them on real estate transactions. And we're talking about real estate transactions for 80-room apartment buildings and large-scale projects. So you can get access to that over at BRRRRinvest.com. It's there for you to sign up and get access to all of our tools. But important language that I include in there, and I think you're definitely going to want, is, nobody really kind of invests in real estate and just does one project or two. You're going to find that you enjoy this, or you already have found that you enjoy this and you're doing well with it, and your portfolio is going to grow over time. What I like to do is, with my property managers, when I first start the relationship with them, include in the contract that we sign that my property management fees are going to decrease as I add more projects to my portfolio, and thus give them more work to do. They're collecting more fees on a monthly basis, so they don't need to take as high of a percentage as they were when we first started. We had 1-2 properties in the portfolio. And so now my expenses are going down because I'm paying less to my property managers every month. So a good way to do it, let's say for the first 3 projects you pay 10%, which is pretty standard, 10% of gross rents. The next project that you put in, your fees for all the projects retroactively back to the first can go down to 9 to 8, whatever you're able to negotiate. Let's say you add another 2 more, and these numbers are completely flexible, but you understand the general idea of decreasing over time to a point where, if you have 10 projects with the same, if you have 10 properties with the same property manager, I don't think it's unfair to ask for 6%, 5% across your entire portfolio, even those that you had before you acquired that 10th property. So you can see the big savings that go down there. And again, another way to boost cash flow into your portfolio. Number 5 on our list, and the last one I'll share with you today, and this goes back to, again, having firm, great agreements that you sign up front and you anticipate these kind of things. Whenever rental renewal comes around, you're going to have conversations with your tenants of, okay, is the rent going up this year? What are we going to charge? I make it easy up front and set the expectation from the start that my rents are going to increase 5% every year. So that's going to compound throughout the duration of the lease I have with my tenants. So if it starts at $1,000 a month, the next month it's going to be $1,050 and so on. It's going to compound from there. But if you don't have that automatic rent increase provision in your lease agreement, you're always going to find yourself having a conversation with the tenant like, okay, what are we going to do this time? Maybe they don't want to do it. Maybe they try to renegotiate it. If you just have that lease running and the fees are going up every year, and everybody's aware from the start and they signed it, it's a lot harder for things to change down the road or for people to back out on things. So it all comes down to, and really everything in rental property investing, BRRRR investing, is execution. Making sure you're covering all of these items that we talked about, that the tenant pays utilities, that you have strong late penalties that are enforced, that you're dealing with pets appropriately in your lease agreement, that you have a good agreement with your property manager where your fees are going down over time, and that you have that automatic rent increase with your tenant. All that comes down to getting the right lease agreements, property management agreements set up from the start. As I mentioned, I'm a professional attorney by trade, have clients and have done this for projects literally all over the world for my own portfolio and those of theirs. You can get access to all the same documents that we use. Work with us over at BRRRRinvest.com. Simple, super easy to use. Analyze all your deals, fill in the blank, and generate a PDF of all the contracts that you need to sign. And then you have all of these provisions in there, and that you're going to be finding those pieces of cash flow that people might not be always mindful for or looking for, but that can really have effect on your ROI. If just kind of doing a little bit of math here off the top of my head, if you're getting $150 less in expenses for utilities, maybe the tenant pays late 1 or 2 days a month and you're collecting another $25, $50 there. If you're permitting pets and because of that you can raise the rent another $100 a month, you can see how this is starting to add up to another $300, $400 a month in cash flow, which can really make the difference on your ROI and your project and your goals for financial freedom, passive income, everything that we're aiming for. So I hope this video was helpful. If you need the contracts that I use, go visit us at BRRRRinvest.com. Of course, that's 4 R's. My name's Adam Jason. You can contact me through the website, ask me any questions, leave comments. I hope you subscribe to the channel. I hope this is helpful to you. I wish you luck in your next project and making sure to find all of these ways to generate additional cash flow every month so that you can find that freedom and passive income that you're looking for. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.